Hello everybody! This video is about the genus Homo. There's also a worksheet that goes along with this video, so if you'd like to follow along, feel free to work on that as we go. Additionally, I'll be showing photos of each of the species on the upcoming slides, so you can better visualize what I'm talking and describing in this video. You may wonder, what is the genus Homo? In biology, a genus is a category that groups together related species. The genus Homo specifically includes humans and our evolutionary ancestors, ultimately distinguishing us from primates. The creation of this genus marks the shift from more primate-like characteristics to those we see in modern humans today. These traits include walking on 2 feet, larger brains, increased body size, the use of tools, a change in diet to consuming more meat, and smaller teeth. The shift in diet is due to the increased energy needs of these species to support their larger brains and more active lifestyles. In this video, we'll explore 4 species that fall under the genus Homo. First up, we have Homo habilis, also known as the handyman, is thought to be the first member of the genus Homo. This species lived in Africa between 2.8 to 1.4 million years ago. Physically, Homo habilis was smaller than modern humans with shorter legs, long arms, and more primate-like jaw and teeth structure. They stood from about 1 to 1.3 meters, which is about 3 to 4.5 feet tall. By looking at the photo in the center, they possessed larger canine teeth, and overall their skull was similar to that of a primate, with a more pronounced front part of the skull, larger brow ridge, and a smaller cranial area, which is where the brain is found. They got their nickname the handyman from being the creators of the oldest known tool industry, the Oldowan. The creation of and use of stone tools marks an important step in human evolution. Evidence of this industry was first found at Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania. These tools were made by chipping off flakes of stone to create a sharp edge. The diet of Homo habilis was mostly plant-based, though they occasionally ate meat. They are seen as more scavengers than hunters, so the meat they did find was often scavenged and scraped off of carcasses. There's evidence that they used their tools for butchering as well, in addition to scraping carcasses. Despite being considered the first species in the genus Homo, there is some debate about whether Homo habilis should be classified as one. One key point of controversy is, although they walked on 2 feet, they are believed to still have occasionally walked on all fours, which complicates their classification in the genus Homo, since bipedalism, or walking on 2 feet, is a key trait. It is important to remember that the boundaries between early hominins and the genus Homo is not always clear. Regardless, Homo habilis has played a critical role in the transition from early hominins to modern humans. Hominins are a group that include humans, our evolutionary ancestors, and apes. While Homo habilis might appear more ape-like than human-like in these photos, you can see the more ape-like head and even body structure from the photo on the right, and just the overall more hair everywhere and a little bit different jaw than what we see today. They still share evolutionary traits that paved the way for the development of later species, and some of these traits include walking on 2 feet, a larger brain compared to body, and tool use. Up next, we have Homo erectus, which is also known as the upright man, and it is considered to be the first human to only walk on 2 feet. This species is also notable for being the first to reside outside of Africa, as earlier species were confined to the continent. Homo erectus lived from about 1.8 million to 0.4 million years ago, and resided in regions across Africa, parts of Asia, and even Europe. With more human-like proportions, Homo erectus had longer legs and shorter arms, and their narrow hips suggest that they were ground dwellers. With an upright stance, Homo erectus' height ranged from 1.4 to 1.8 meters tall, which is about 4.5 feet to 6 feet tall, which is taller than our previous species discussed, Homo habilis. Their brain size increased compared to that of Homo habilis again, though still smaller than modern humans. Their facial features become more human-like, as you can see in the photo in the upper right-hand corner. It's starting to move away from that more ape-like features to something that would resemble more human-esque. Homo erectus developed their own tool industry, which is known as the Acheulean industry, which produced tear-shaped hand axes, which can be seen in the bottom left corner. These tools were multi-purpose and were used in butchering, digging, skinning, cutting, and processing plant materials. Their diet consisted of both meat and plants. Initially, they scavenged for meat, but over time they've developed hunting strategies. You can see in the photo in the bottom right that one of the members of this group is carrying an animal of some sort that they must have killed. They also consumed honey as a high-energy food source, and their shift in diet was because they needed to compensate for their increased energy usage. Another major achievement of Homo erectus is that they are thought to be the first human ancestors to control fire. This can be linked to the Cho Koldian Locality 1. This is an anthropological site in China where, other than Homo erectus fossils, charcoal was found, which leads anthropologists to connect Homo erectus to the control of fire. Additionally, Homo erectus may have had more complex social structures. This idea stems from the hypotheses made about Homo erectus and their tool use and the ability to survive in diverse environments. This concept is more of a thought than something that has been proven through findings, since there's no clear evidence that provides that Homo erectus had complex social structures. It's more built on that this would make sense for the tools they used, how they lived, and overall just their being, that they would have these complex social structures. And by looking at the photos, you can see how Homo erectus is increasingly resembling modern humans, moving away from the more primate-like features. But you can still see that they're kind of like that mix between humans and primates. Up next, we have Homo neanderthalis, or more commonly referred to as Neanderthals, which are our closest ancient relatives. They lived across Europe and parts of Asia from about 400,000 to 40,000 years ago, overlapping with humans. One of their most distinctive features is their large, wide noses, which can be seen in both of the photos here. These wide noses were an adaptation to living in colder, drier environments. This allowed them to warm up the air they breathed in, ultimately allowing them to maintain their core body temperature. In addition to their large noses, Neanderthals had pronounced brow ridges, stocky bodies, and were very muscular with wide hips and shoulders. Their brain size was also larger than that of modern humans, though their bodies were built for strength rather than endurance. Over time, Neanderthals evolved, and some differences that can be seen in their physical traits. For example, early Neanderthals were generally taller than later ones. When Neanderthal fossils were first discovered, they were thought to be primitive, short, and unintelligent, giving them the name cavemen. This ultimately was debunked as more remains were found. The skeleton that these assumptions were formed based on actually had a bone disease that affected its skeletal appearance, which gave it the original primitive and short and kind of dumb thought about them. Now Neanderthals are thought to be intelligent and a complex species. Neanderthals were also tool makers and made spears and hand axes. With the use of these tools, Neanderthals were able to be good hunters and take down large animals such as mammoths, bison, and reindeer. They would hunt these animals at close range, which was also very dangerous. As a result of this high-risk, high-reward hunting method, it resulted in many injuries, which can be seen in the fossil evidence of many different findings. Despite the harsh lifestyle, there is also evidence suggesting that Neanderthals were compassionate. For instance, they are known to have buried their dead, indicating a level of care for others in their group. There are many theories about why Neanderthals went extinct, but this remains a topic of debate. This topic could be its own video, so I won't go into much detail. Some scientists also speculate that Neanderthals may have had a spoken language. This theory is supported by the study of their ear anatomy, which is similar to that of modern humans, suggesting they may have had the ability to hear and communicate in a way comparable to us. This would make it possible that the ability to communicate via speaking. One of the difficulties with supporting this theory is since the vocal cords and voice box of Neanderthals are not found in their remains, it is difficult for anthropologists to come to a definitive conclusion. Finally, there is an ongoing debate about whether Neanderthals should be classified as Homo sapiens. While they are currently considered a distinct species, studies of our DNA have shown that modern humans share about 1 to 2% of their genetic material with Neanderthals. This link in DNA is what sparked this debate. Looking at their photos on the slide, you can see that both the physical and skeletal remains resemble humans in many ways. Finally, we have Homo sapiens. I will keep this section brief since Homo sapiens, also known as modern humans, is something that we see on a day-to-day basis. First appearing around 300,000 years ago, with anatomically modern humans emerging around 160,000 years ago, Homo sapiens evolved in Africa and are the only surviving species of the humans. They exhibit key characteristics such as larger brains, projecting noses out of their face, a small brow ridge, protruding chin, smaller teeth, slender limbs, long legs in comparison to arms, and humans were ground dwellers. Looking at these features, it is clear that Homo sapiens share evolutionary traits with earlier species like Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Neanderthals. This video did not cover all the species under the genus Homo, but by examining 3 of our evolutionary ancestors, we can observe the gradual progression and passing of traits between these species, ultimately leading to Homo sapiens. Looking at the photo that kind of shows the progression from Homo habilis to Homo sapiens, it's kind of interesting to see some of the characteristics that are going along the progression of our evolution. As anthropologists continue to uncover more fossils and research our ancient relatives, we are gradually piecing together the story of our evolution. Thank you all for watching my video.